Hello, my name is John Parsons. I come from what's called the Prophet Gold Mine at Kilkivan, which I started in 1990. This video is put together to introduce you to what I would classify as a breakthrough in the mining industry. I've been very privileged to be a part of some research which is well defined in this blog that you will see at the bottom of this YouTube video, and it will direct you to Dr. Frank Reith from Adelaide University and CSIRO, who has done extensive work in this field, and I'm proud to be associated with him. I started the Prophet Gold Mine in 1990, and as you can see in the distance, it is a project that involves a large amount of material that's on top of the ground. I've simply worked out that if I screen this material into multiple sizes and sell it, there is also a YouTube video that explains this type of the operation where I'm selling the product all over southeast Queensland and as far as Victoria. In the distance you can see some of my extra large rock and my building stone. Over to this side you can see the mining plant which extracts the gold. We are a recognised gold producer, and I think we produced number 2 producer of alluvial gold in Queensland a few years ago. Not a lot of alluvial gold produced in Queensland, but we do produce a reasonable amount. The dirt that was left on this material is gold bearing. It's not tailings that we're going through, although there is tailings here, and it was all water processed, not chemical in the past, and we are doing the same thing again. To give you some history, and the reason why I believe I have some input into this area is I have been involved in farming and also gypsum mining from a very young age. I was the first mine manager at 16 years of age. I was the youngest mine manager in New South Wales on my father's gypsum mine, and that gave me a great introduction to earth science, which is where we are and what we're talking about. This concept that I want to introduce you to is recent developments of understanding what's going on beneath our feet in the way of mineralisation. We always assumed that, some people assume that gold has come from a reef or hydrothermally. People think, the layman that is, thinks that this piece of gold is exited from the reef as you later find it. But in geology we understand secondary gold, which is what nugget gold is actually formed secondarily in the drifts where it's found. This has always been a question about how this happened, whether it was chemical, electrical, in other words crystalline, or what was it. What happened to me was in 1995 I got introduced to a Dr. Gunther Bishop from Macquarie University, who was a great tutor and gave me an introduction into this area that I could not be begged to have had. And my samples became part of his research, and my samples were the first gold photographed under a scanning electron microscope that could actually show the rate of formation and recent formation. We could see the etching on this gold from the transportation and mining, and then we could see the rate of growth. We could see that 30% of the gold grains were covered by this new biological formation of gold. So I was very quickly interested in this, as you can imagine, and then unfortunately Gunther died in 1999, and it wasn't until 2005 that Dr. Frank Reith rang me and asked if he could work with me, and obviously I was enthused. And since then Frank has gone on to make great milestones in this area, and we have been part of it, which I'm immensely proud of. We have produced a paper, many papers, but one that I've been very much involved in, which is I think self-explanatory, is titled, this is published in Geology, and it is titled Nanoparticle Factories, Biofilms Hold the Key to Gold Deposition and Nugget Formation. That basically says it all. But I implore you to check the blog that has got much further information. And basically what it means is we have discovered that the bacteria are absorbing, consuming the mineral AU and converting it, transmutating it, whatever you want to call it, into physical gold, and that's how the nuggets form, layer by layer by layer. The extent of this is still not fully known. The implications are obviously profound, but more importantly Frank has developed, and it's not just a story, it's right there, right now, a way that he can test the soil for the residue of this bacteria. So in the past we've taken soil samples, we've looked for the parts per million of the gold associated and planned our drilling program, exploration program around that. Unfortunately, that gives us these things called high-grade anomalies, and a lot of money in exploration is wasted as a result of that. This new way of looking for gold is we look at the soil, we find the residue, e.g. the protein that's associated with this individual bacteria, and that can give us a far greater success in the drilling programs. And any mining industry, mining company that doesn't know about this, I implore you to pass this video on to them. This needs to get to the upper echelons of the mining boards. The directors need to know about this. The chief geologists need to know about this. Anyone in EPA, we are obviously sending this to everyone we can. Mines departments, anyone that can see this and follow this will see the importance of it. If we can reduce the amount of money spent on exploration and increase the chances of hits, some of these bacteria, if we go to an old mine site where we know what's under the ground and we drill from this direction across to that direction to where we know the gold is, and it's 3,000 feet deep, so to speak, or meters deep, we can go to the top of that source, test the soil and find a new indicator, a concentration of these bacteria. So in other words, if we're taking soil samples over a new area and we find this concentration, we've already set ourselves above the deposit as opposed to searching for it. And if that isn't of interest to someone in exploration, I'll be very surprised. The other area which I have contributed to the most, I think, is a realisation by being in the physical mining part myself, I have to move the materials. One of the biggest areas of mining, and not alluvial mining, this is something that is very implemented in the cyanide arena, is the tailings dam. What happens when we go mining? We process the material and we eventually fill up our tailings dam. EPA tells us either we can't extend the walls and therefore the mine closes down, or the economics of cleaning it out cause a problem. What I believe we can do now, we're as far enough advanced with this because we've just conducted an experiment where we can look into how we can increase the natural activity. This gold formation process that's happening in nature can be assisted, can be controlled, can be regulated and maybe turned into an economic volume. If not, what we're talking about is at least an environmental advantage, at least an economic advantage, that we can turn what would be a negative, a per metre catastrophe, into a per metre asset. Your creative accountant can say, oh, we no longer have a minus, a red, we have a positive black over here. So again, I think this is of interest to the mining industry and the boards that would make the decisions for their shareholders' benefits. If we can take that material away from the tailings exit pipe, dewater it, put it in the truck and take it to another place. Take it to that place, place it in a heap leach scenario, in other words, plastic line, the material is dumped on top of it, and we can add organics to this. We are experimenting at the moment to see what organics work best, but we know that they're going to work best. Add the organic, these organic processes assist the bacteria in doing what they do naturally. And if we can help them decompose the ore bodies and precipitate the gold, or build the gold to a gettable stage, in some time in the future, we can reprocess that material. So here we are, we've got a negative which would be filling up our dam, and with what I'm talking about, we've got a positive which could actually return a financial benefit sometime into the future. And I think that's possibly the single quickest advantage for this to take hold in the mining industry. And I want to read you something that Dr. Philippa Ewens, a university lecturer, professor from University of Queensland, a student of Gunther's like I, wrote to me once and said, the focus of our current research is to fully categorise and metabolise the unistructure and sequence of Nanobe's DNA, which is obviously done. With regards to your interest in the role of microbes and nanobes in biomineralisation, nanobes are significant in this area because the existence of nanobes in the Earth's crust suggests the Earth's biomass is most likely significantly greater than previously estimated. Considering these have been found at 5 kilometres deep, they're obviously doing something, and we think we know what they're doing now. Nanobes may be responsible for a significant proportion of the Earth's geochemical processes, playing a role in the mineralisation of carbonate, silicas, economic minerals such as gold and copper, and the production and degradation of hydrocarbons. Nanobes are also significant because the existence of nanobes challenges current biological theories and brings into question the minimum size autonomous life on Earth. Their place in the organisation of evolution of living matter is uncertain. Nanobes can withstand extreme conditions. They thrive in elevated temperatures and in their geological settings survive very high pressures. The existence of nanobes may impact on other fields of research, including molecular and cell biology, earth and planetary sciences, environmental microbiology and medical microbiology. And so I think you may get, I hope you get, the fact that this breakthrough will affect our industry and may have major impacts on other industries, and particularly the environmental side of things. We all work in an industry now where we have to show our environmental ethics, and if we don't, they're going to shut us down. If we can show the people that control us that we have moving in this environmental arena to control our situation, fix our situations, and maybe even make money out of doing this for our directors and our shareholders. I think this is a very exciting era, and I implore you to check out Frank's blog, and I hope you can pass this on to anyone that may well be able to take advantage of this information. I'm personally privileged. I'm not making money out of this, but I'm very privileged to be a part of this research, and obviously credited with the co-authorship of a paper in geology. So I'm wrapped. Thank you very much.